Hi, in one of my earlier videos, I had shared different ways to start your presentation to create an impact. And one of those was by asking questions. However, you may have realized many times we get stuck if we do not get the right response for the question that we have asked. Hi, I am Arvind Khinvesra. I am a coach, trainer, and author of the book 11 Secrets to Effective Speaking. And today I am going to share with you how can you ask the right kind of questions and handle any kind of response that comes your way. If your question is powerful, it creates a great opening. It grabs the attention of our audience. But if we make a mistake in wording those questions, we could actually get stuck. Say for example, I have a few people in my audience and I want to check how many of them would like to have tea and how many would like to have coffee. Now, out of habit, the question may come up as, how many of you would like to have tea or coffee? Now, guess what? How can I make out based on the hands raised as to who are the ones who would like to have tea and who are the ones who would like to have coffee? That's because I gave both the options in my question. A better question would have been, how many of you would like to have tea? So make sure you're asking the right question so that people are able to give responses and there's no ambiguity in the response that we get. And this is something I use very often in my presentation skills workshop. To explain how we can start with a question, I normally use the example. Imagine I ask a question to my audience. How many of you think cricket should be made the national sport of this country? Most of the time you'll see a few hands raised and a few hands not raised, which is all right. And depending on what is it that I want to convince, if my idea is to convince people that it should be made the national sport, I would look at the ones who have said yes and say, wonderful, and this is what I'm going to talk about today. Now I've got the attention of my audience. I tried the same question in Kolkata, and guess what? Not a single hand went up, and obviously they all love football. Now when you come across such a situation, the normal tendency is, till I get the answer that I expect, I would go walking around and checking up with every single individual. What do you think? Are you sure cricket should not be made the national sport? Why do you think that? How about you? Do you think it should be made the national sport? And this is how we ramble along until we get the answer that is expected. Instead, there's a better way of doing it, irrespective of the answer that the audience gives you. If we can prepare before the session a response to any possible answer that the people give, we are ready. We are equipped to handle that situation. Which means there's no need to get nervous, there's no need to fumble, there's no need to blank out. So this question in Kolkata, when it had no response, since I was prepared, I simply responded, wonderful, because now I'm going to convince all of you why cricket should be made the national sport of this country. So remember friends, asking question is a great way of starting a presentation. But be prepared. One, by making sure you're asking a very clear, crisp question for which the responses are not ambiguous. And two, at making sure that we are prepared to take it forward irrespective of whether the response that we get is as we expected or not. And that is something we can do by expecting the unexpected and preparing for it. If you can think of any other way of handling responses to your questions, please share in the comment section below, and do make sure you like and share this video with your friends and colleagues. Thank you.